Hello everybody, Interi back again with another video. I'm gonna try to do this video not way too long because I'm on my way to work. So I want to speak about will Federer challenge Nadal in this clay court season, and especially in French Open. Can Federer challenge Nadal in French Open? Because it has been a lot of talk about that in different social medias over these couple of weeks, especially after Federer winning Miami, and especially after Federer playing pretty solid tennis this year, which I agree he has. My answer to that is no, I don't think he can't, especially not in French Open, guys. Federer has announced that he will play 2 clay court tournaments this season, Madrid. In Spain, the Masters 1000 tournament, and then after that he will play French Open, what he has announced. But I really don't think that he can challenge Nadal, guys. It has been a lot of talk about that in different social medias about different people, and I really don't agree with that. I think he can challenge Nadal to some degree, to some extent, in Madrid, because it's a high altitude there, and Federer has defeated actually Nadal there once. I believe it was in 2009. Correct me, guys, if I'm wrong. Federer has defeated Nadal on clay 2 times, if I'm not mistaken. They have faced each other 15 times on clay. It's 13-2 to Nadal in the head-to-head. And Federer has defeated Nadal, like I said, only 2 times in these 15 meetings. I think the first time Federer defeated Nadal was in 2007 in Hamburg. Back in those years, the Hamburg tournament was played on clay. Nowadays it's not been playing on clay, but back in 2007 it was played on clay, and that was, I remember that match in 2007. Federer did an amazing performance. He lost that first set, I believe, and then he turned that around and won that match in 2-1. And I think the third set, I think Federer won it 6-0, if I'm not correct. That was the best set I have ever seen Federer produce. He was really vintage. He could literally speaking not miss from both wings, not from the forehand side, not from the backhand side. He was serving great, he was returning great. Nadal didn't have any answer, and Federer has to basically play like that in French Open to beat Nadal. But that is literally speaking impossible. He did that that time in that set in 2007, and he won that match 2-1. Now the second time Federer defeated Nadal on clay was in 2009 in Madrid in the final. I think he defeated Nadal in straight sets, if I'm not wrong. These are the only times that Federer has defeated Nadal, and both of these times have been in 3 sets matches, which is of course easier to defeat Nadal in 3 sets matches and what it is in 5 sets matches. But Nadal has defeated Federer 13 times. It's pretty obvious that it is way advantage for Nadal on clay, and it's not a surprise because clay is Rafa's of course most dominated surface, and he is the most dominant tennis player that we have ever seen on clay. Actually, in a specific surface, we have never seen this kind of domination by any tennis player ever before. Not male tennis player, not female tennis player. What Nadal has done on clay and what he still will do, it's pretty insane, guys. He has won I believe 57 clay court tournaments. That is of course a record. Before him, Guillermo Vilas had that record. I think the Argentinian had 49 clay court titles in the previous record, but Nadal of course break that record, and he will win more clay court titles than 57. I'm pretty sure about that. So, but he has that record, and he has won 11 French Open titles, like we all know, in 11 French Open finals, and he has not been even close of losing any of those 11 French Open finals. He has won all of them 3-0 or 3-1. He has 24,000 Masters titles on clay, Nadal. That is a really crazy high number as well. Nadal has 80 titles all in all, and 57 of them have come on clay. So it is pretty obvious that clay is Rafa's best surface, and that's why he is so unbelievably good and unbelievably dominant in this surface. I'm pretty sure we will never see this kind of player ever again, really, guys. Not on this kind of domination we will never see in any surface, guys. Not on grass, not on hard courts, and not on clay. He is the most dominant tennis player that we have ever seen in a specific surface. So Federer is not a weak clay court player, because many people believe that he is weak on clay. He is not weak on clay. He is not as good as Nadal, of course not, who is, but he's not weak. But it's definitely Roger Federer's worst surface, clay, that's for sure. Roger Federer has won 101 titles all in all, and 11 of them has come on clay. 6 has come on 1,000 Masters, and 1 has come in the Grand Slam. That was in French Open 2009. And he has 5 French Open finals all in all, and he has lost 4 of them, of course, to Nadal, and one he has won, like I said, in 2009 against Robin Söderling in that final. So that is a good stats. Of course, it's a amazing stats, guys, to be in 5 French Open finals. Not even Novak Djokovic has been in 5 French Open finals, actually. Novak Djokovic has been in 4, if I'm not mistaken, and Novak has won 1 of those 4 finals in 2016 against Andy Murray. So, but when you are around a beast, a giant, an alien on this surface like Rafa Nadal, then you will, of course, not considered as weak, because everybody is weak in comparison to this clay court beast Nadal. So my prediction is that Roger Federer will definitely not challenge Nadal on French Open. He has a chance to challenge him to some extent in Madrid, I believe. But Nadal is a huge favorite there as well, but not as huge favorite like he is in French Open, because Madrid is a faster tournament, it's a high altitude, the ball flies higher and bounces more, so Nadal doesn't have the control of the ground strokes like he has in French Open. So some people say that Federer can challenge Nadal more nowadays than he did, say, 7 to 10 years ago, when they faced each other in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008 and 2011, because Rafa and Federer has faced each other 5 times in French Open. No, that's wrong, guys. Federer will not challenge him more nowadays, because some people are forgetting that Nadal is actually a better tennis player now than he was 10 years ago, guys. I remember those matches in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008 and 2011. I remember all those finals and one semi-final. One semi-final was played in 2005 in French Open between these two. And Rafa was a worse player, guys, especially in 2005, 2006, 2007 and 2011. 2008, Rafa was a beast. We all remember that French Open final when he destroyed Federer in that final. But in those other 4 meetings, in 2011, in 2005, 6, 7, and 11, Rafa was not as good as he is now, guys. Especially not as good as he were in 2017 and in 2018. We all remember what Rafa did in 2017 in French Open. He barely lost games, guys. He won all the tournament without dropping a set, and he destroyed Stan Wawrinka in the final, guys. And he did the same last year against Dominic Thiem. He destroyed Dominic Thiem in the final, guys. And Dominic Thiem was playing really, really good tennis before that final. Rafa lost only one set last year against Schwartzman in the quarterfinal. Rafa is a much better player now than he was 10 years ago when Fed faced him in French Open. Rafa has a better serve nowadays. Rafa has a better backhand nowadays. I remember Rafa was serving pretty, not bad, but he was not a good server back in 2005 and 6 and 7 and 11. Even in 2008, he was not a great server, even though he destroyed the Federer in that 2008 French Open final. But his serve is better now, guys. So Rafa is a much bigger challenge to defeat nowadays than he was 7 to 10 years ago. So I'm not getting this, that like some people saying in different social medias, that Federer has a big chance of defeating Nadal in French Open now than he had 10 years ago. And even Federer is not a better tennis player now than he was 10 years ago, guys. It is one thing that Federer is doing better now, in my opinion, than he did in 2006, to take 1 year. Because the 2006, in my opinion, was the closest Federer was to defeat Nadal in French Open. Even though that was not, he was not deadly close of defeating him, but in comparison to other meetings, he was close. That was the closest one, because he lost that match 3-1. I remember he won the first set, Federer, but the fourth set went to tiebreak. So that's why I consider that match as the closest Federer was to defeat Nadal, even though he was not close, to say the least. But to comparison to other matches in French Open, that was the closest one, in my opinion. And Federer was a better player in 2006 and what he is this year, guys. I'm gonna say in what part he was better. He was serving better in that year, and he was hitting his forehand much better, guys. Nowadays, Federer's forehand and Federer's serve is not as good like it was in 2006 or 2005 or 2007, even in 2011. Federer is not serving bad. I'm not saying that he's serving bad, but he's definitely not serving as good as he did when he was in his prime of his career. That's for sure. And he's not hitting his forehand as hard and as deep and as solid like he did 10 years ago. So how in earth will Federer have more chances to defeat Nadal in French Open nowadays in comparison to 10 years ago? And Nadal is a better player nowadays than he was 10 years ago. He serves better and his backhand is much better. So I'm not getting this, that like some people are saying in different social medias, that Federer can challenge Nadal more nowadays than he did 10 years ago. No, guys, that's wrong. He definitely can challenge Nadal more nowadays than 10 years ago. Absolutely not. It would be a big shock for me if Federer defeats Nadal in French Open. I will consider that as the biggest upset of all time, guys. I really will do. And he's 37 years old as well. No, let's face it, guys. Rafa's biggest opponent in clay, and especially in French Open, it is his health, guys. It is his body. And to some extent, Novak Djokovic. If Novak Djokovic survives to that French Open finals, which I doubt that he will, because Novak Djokovic is much more danger. He is a much more danger to lose before that French Open finals than what Nadal will do. Nadal will be in that French Open final. I can guarantee you all of you that, if he is healthy, if he doesn't get hurt on his way, because we all know that Rafa's biggest opponent nowadays and biggest on clay, it is his health. We all know that. So no, my conclusion is that Roger Federer will definitely not challenge Rafa Nadal in French Open this year. He will definitely not do that more than he did 10 years ago. Absolutely not. And I gave you all my explanation to all this. Rafa Nadal is the man to beat in French Open. In the whole clay court season, actually, but especially in French Open, guys. He is definitely the man to beat. and his biggest opponent is his health, to some extent Novak Djokovic, and maybe even Dominic Thiem. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care, see you next time, bye bye.